Welcome in, everybody, to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, the Monday edition. Alex Barutha here with Kirien and Sprecher. Nick Whalen's still on paternity leave. Will be out pretty much all of this week, but we're anticipating a expected return date of next Monday for Nick Whalen, parentheses personal. But as always on the Monday show, we're going to keep the theme pretty similar. We're going to talk some of the biggest waiver wire ads in our leagues. Jump into a little bit of news. There's been a lot of injury news, so we'll try to touch on some of that. But then, as always, essentially the last half of the show, last 2/3 of the show, we'll take your questions. So if you're here right now, fire in those questions into the chat, and we will do our best to get to them. Let's kick things off with some of the biggest waiver wire moves in our 15 team, kind of a rare league type, 15 team Roto league. Top guy, it was a tie. Najee Marshall, Ryan Dunn was dropped. That was 14% of the fab. Another 14% of the fab, which was my pickup of Andre Drummond, in which I dropped Gary Trent Jr. We had $12 spent on Sadiq Bey and $11 on Jordan Clarkson, in which Josh Minot was dropped. Any of those four names stand out to you, or were there players that you were trying to add that just either you weren't sure how much to bid or you lost the bidding or anything like that?
Yeah, I think all of these guys were on my waiver list, or I chose to pick them up, but I didn't put as much money down. Sadiq Bey has been playing well, but Zion seems to be on the return. Jordan Poole could also be returning pretty soon here. And then the other one that you mentioned, Najee Marshall. Anthony Davis is out a week, but Gafford and Lively are going to miss some time too. So Najee Marshall was definitely a player that I was targeting. But I wasn't like this. I feel like that's, a week. You're going to play Najee Marshall week to week. You're going to play Sadiq Bey week to week. And they could be dropped by next week. So I don't really like wasting, 10% of my fab in week 5 on a player that I'm probably maybe only going to be starting for 1 week. Your move to go get Andre Drummond. Anybody who listens to the Wednesday pod or the Thursday pod knows how much I like to stay away from Joel Embiid and Paul George. We'll talk about Paul George in a little bit, but Andre Drummond is a guy that you can play. You could theoretically play all season long, given Embiid's injury history, and even when he does play. He's been playing limited minutes so far this season. So it was an interesting waiver wire for me this week, where I didn't really feel the need to go all in on any of these players. And I didn't really feel the need to use more than 10% of my fab on any player. So I was really looking for, the scraps here. We also Dominic Barlow is still on waivers. A guy like Jordan Walsh is still on waivers. So those were other guys that I was keeping an eye on for a free player to add this week. I will say that I have Wemby and I have Jokic in this league, so they're kind of just carrying me. So I'm in a pretty good spot right now where I don't need to be super aggressive with any of these players. But I also didn't last week. Derek Queen, that was a guy that I was willing to use 20-30% of my fab, and he went for like $37 or $40. This week there just wasn't a player like that was just jumping out at me like, you got to go out and add this guy, or at least use some of your fab for this guy.
I'm zagging a little bit. We just got an update from Mark Spears that Kyrie Irving is, quote, working out with the purpose of playing the season, and someone close to him told Spears if it was the playoffs, he could play right now. Someone in the chat asked, first of all, thank you to Kenny in the chat who said, what does this latest tweet update mean? Do I pick him up? I mean, if you got the IR spot, I can't really tell you not to pick him up, depending on who's there with you. But also, the Mavericks are 4-10; they suck. I don't have a lot of confidence that I really just don't have that much confidence that he'll come back. Like, the Kyrie Irving news has been back and forth. It was back and forth all summer. It was back and forth to start the year. Now we're here. But sure, if your worst player is just straight up like you never play the guy and or you have an IR spot, go ahead and pick him up.
So Kenny just said, so drop Ivy to stash Kyrie. No, I'm keeping Jaden Ivey at this point. Okay. I think Jaden Ivey, he's more likely to have a workload that we've seen in previous years than Kyrie is when Jaden Ivey comes back, if that makes more sense. And if Jaden Ivey is playing 30 plus minutes, Kyrie's probably going to miss second half of back-to-backs. I get in trouble a lot when we're on these pods because almost all of the leagues that I'm in are weekly settings. Like you set your lineup for the week. So guys like Paul George, Kyrie coming back from injury, Joel Embiid, it's just a nightmare to roster them because they could be on a 4-game week and only play 2 games that week, and then it's just not worth it, even if they're producing like we're used to. And then, sometimes they don't reach that level of production because they've coming back from an injury or there's other players around them playing pretty well. I think Ivy is a way safer call and has just as, maybe not just as high of an upside, but has a high enough upside to keep him, and you're going to get him back sooner. I think this isn't the playoffs, right? That tweet said, like, if this was the playoffs, he could come back. It's not the playoffs. The Mavericks aren't even really like in playoff contention at this point in the season. So I don't think that means that he's coming back before the calendar year. And so I would still think, Irving could hang out on waiver wires for at least another month.
Yeah, and then we also had Admiral Nita ask, do you hold Dejounte Murray or Kyrie for the last IR spot? I got a Dejounte Murray question on Twitter too, but that was a keeper league, so that was a little more nuanced. Again, we're talking about the Pelicans have 2 wins. They have won 2 basketball games. So, yeah, maybe Dejounte Murray comes back. Is he going to play on back-to-backs? At what point is he playing 30 minutes a game? At what point are the Pelicans playing competitive enough games for him to even play 30 minutes if he's healthy enough to play 30 minutes? This is very like league specific, team specific questions. Like, again, if you have the IR spot, if you need the upside play, or if you're playing so well, like if you're so far in first that you're like, it doesn't matter, I can luxury stash this guy, then go ahead. I think it's actually the most difficult decision for the teams in the middle. Like if you're 4th in your 12-team league, that's to me the hardest choice because you're trying to balance the upside with, the immediate need.
Totally makes sense. I would lean more towards Kyrie over Dejounte, but I would still have Ivy over both of them. I think, the Pelicans are an absolute mess, and Fears and Queen are really, and Trey Murphy is having a nice season. But I think they're going to lean into that young core, and I don't really know how Dejounte fits into that. So of those 3 guys on IR, I would probably go Ivy, Kyrie, Dejounte. But that could change by next week.
All right, keep those questions coming. But before we get to some more news, we're going to talk about our friends at Vivid Seats. The NBA, folks, as you know, is back. Don't just catch it on the couch. Lock in your seat this season with the Vivid Seats app, where you'll score the lowest price tickets guaranteed. That's right. Vivid Seats is introducing their new lowest price guarantee, so you're getting the best deal all season long. Seriously, try to find a cheaper ticket. Good luck. Every dunk, every drive, and every jaw-dropping play of your favorite team live and in person. And here's the clincher. When you buy with the Vivid Seats app, you rack up rewards and free credits. Talk about a clutch home court advantage. And if that wasn't enough, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. That's like 100 Wizards games. You could go to every single Wizards game for $200. Promo code RotoWire, ROTOWIRE. So step into the NBA season like a pro and download the Vivid Seats app to get the best deal in the game with the best prices. Terms apply. So I think probably the biggest news of the day, but there's been a lot of news. Paul George will be making his return. I'm in fact stashing him on one team. But I'm not activating him yet. I'm going to wait on that. But what are your expectations for Paul George short term and I guess medium to long term?
Yeah, like I said, anybody that listens to the Wednesday show know that me and Mike have coined Paul George Pinky P after he sat out numerous weeks last year with a pinky injury that totally tanked Mike's fantasy team, and we've been anti PG ever since. But yeah, this is his first game since May 2nd of last season. He finished last season really strong, putting up normal Paul George numbers towards the end of last season, but he finished with only 41 appearances, 32 minutes. That was his lowest minute total since 2019-20, the 2019-20 season. He averaged 16 points per game, even with that strong finish. That was his lowest output since 2014-15. He finished with 43, 81, 36 shooting splits. That's average. for considering who we're talking about in the career that he has had. He's 35 years old now. Grimes is playing really well. Edgecombe, struggled a little bit, but has been playing well as a rookie, and he's going to have a long runway. And then Maxey is one of the best players in the league right now. Like, I just don't see a world where Paul George comes and saves your fantasy team, I guess is what I'm going to say. Yeah, he could play tonight. He could play well tonight. Maybe he doesn't play the next game. Maybe he sits out back-to-backs. And like I said, I'm in a lot of weekly lineups. So if you're in daily lineups where you can plug and play and take him out when he's not playing, that he's way more valuable in those types of leagues. When you have to sit with Paul George missing 2 out of his 4 games, or 1 out of his 3 games, that hurts way more. He's way more valuable in the daily setups. But I just think he doesn't need to do much. I don't think he's going to save your fantasy team. But he's been a top 50 per game fantasy producer in basically every year of his career. So when he's on the court and he's playing, he's going to be a solid option and probably should be in lineups. But he's going to be a headache to roster all season and to plug and play him and manage his workload.
Yeah, most leagues he was going in the 8th, 9th round. So I think your best case scenario for Paul George is just that he plays most of the time and that he's efficient. Like, I think that's the hope, right? Is he just kind of fades, he hits his open threes, open layups, and he could maybe shoot, 48% from the field and it'll be fine.
And even like I said, these other guys are playing well that take away usage, but like you said, that could make him more efficient. He doesn't need to be the guy. He can play efficient ball. So yeah, I don't think he's going to save your fantasy team.
We also have some guys nearing returns: LeBron James, Zion Williamson, Brandon Miller, Ben Mathurin, Tyler Hero. We've gotten pretty encouraging updates about all of those guys, and it seems like they all have a chance to be returning, if not in days, within the next week or two. So, if you're rostering Marcus Smart, or you picked up Derek Queen, or you've been leaning a lot on Con Knipple, or Jarris Walker, Davion Mitchell. There are a lot of names that either I have on my fantasy teams or a lot of people have on their fantasy teams.
I have a lot of those guys on my fantasy teams too.
Davion Mitchell has been carrying me in our 15-team league. So I don't know, any strong takes or opinions on that, or is this just a lot of wait and see?
Yeah, I think the most recent update on LeBron was, he practiced with the G League. He practiced again today. Probably needs a week to get his conditioning back, but his status for tomorrow is to be determined. So I think he's probably, day to day at this point, but I would expect him to make his return debut next week. Brandon Miller, shoulder injury, so he doesn't need the time to regain his conditioning like some of these other players, but he does need to get that contact back. He's going to be using that off shoulder a lot to work his way into the paint, so that's got to be fully healthy. And then Hero is practicing fully, but he also said himself that he's going to need a week or two to regain his conditioning. And it sounds like Mathurin could play as soon as tonight. I would, when a guy misses multiple weeks, you're like, he should probably be limited, but I don't think Indiana has any choice other than to throw Mathurin in and have him play 35 minutes if he is cleared tonight. So I think all of these guys definitely back before December starts. But I still think, LeBron and Hero a week and Hero maybe 2 weeks.
We also just got a report from James Ham, who covers the Kings, that the Kings are hopeful Keegan Murray will debut this week. It just came through. So that would be nice for a Kings team that has nothing to look forward to at all. The thing is, it's possible Keegan Murray's available in some leagues. I'm pretty anti Keegan Murray. I've been pretty vocal about I don't really think you have to draft him in fantasy, but given the Kings situation, come February, if Sabonis is not on this team, there's 5 guys on this Kings team who could just be straight up gone. And if they do everything they can to start featuring Keegan Murray and the other young guys they have, if you pick him up, this could be a payoff long term.
Yeah, I think he's definitely probably on waivers in a lot of leagues because, like you said, he's kind of like a fringy, guy anyways. And then when you have the injury, it's really hard to roster a player like that. And I'm kind of I'm definitely higher on Keegan Murray than you are, but his upside has always, been limited just because you had to share the court with Sabonis and Fox and now LaVine and DeRozan. But could be a complete fire sale. And if DeRozan and LaVine are gone, Murray's going to have a huge runway.
We also have some guys we're waiting on. Like, we don't know what's going on with a handful of guys. Darius Garland, Bam Adebayo, Jalen Brunson, Jalen Williams, Scoot Henderson, Dylan Harper. We just don't know. It's just annoying. Like, I don't have a lot of analysis for you. I'm rostering Bam Adebayo somewhere, and I just have to keep him in my IR. And thankfully, I can start Yusuf Nurkic, which is a sentence I did not think I would be saying in 2025. We also have guys like Anthony Davis and Jordan Poole are expected to be out at least another week. So, like, if you're doing the Najee Marshall thing, if you are rostering Jeremiah Fears, this should be good for a while, another week or two before you have to reevaluate. I think probably the main injury that we do have to cover that we haven't covered yet is Christian Braun, who is going to be out for a while. I forget the exact timetable, like at least a month, right?
Yeah, 6 weeks or 8 weeks.
And so in the first game without him, it's tough to get a true sample because Cam Johnson also missed that game. And so what you end up with was Peyton Watson playing 34 minutes. Tim Hardaway played 29 minutes. Bruce Brown played 30 minutes. Spencer Jones got in for some time. And I did see someone in the chat ask, should he drop Trey Jones, Chicago Bulls Trey Jones, for the Denver Nuggets Peyton Watson?
Yeah, that's going to be a no for me. Trey Jones, I know he's hurt right now, an ankle impingement. He's missed a game, doubtful for tonight or tomorrow. I think tonight. And then, probably could miss some more time. But even with Kobe White back, Josh Giddey back, Ayo Dosunmu was playing well. There's a role for Trey Jones on this team. He's had a lot of steals, a lot of assists. Obviously, he's probably going to lose his starting spot eventually to Kobe White. But Donovan did say that White is going to come off the bench for a while. I still think Trey Jones has the higher upside here. Peyton Watson, he might have a big game where he gets fed by Jokic a bunch and gets some easy looks. But Watson's offensive upside, it just isn't there for me. And I think Trey Jones gives you just a better breadth, a better, a wider variety of production than Watson is going to. And I also think, this is going to be, it's not just going to be Watson playing 35 plus minutes and filling in for Christian Braun. You're going to see a lot of Tim Hardaway, a lot of Bruce Brown, Spencer Jones. They got some two-way guys that they're giving minutes to. So I still like Trey Jones over Watson, even though they're kind of trending in opposite directions at this point.
Yeah, the Trey Jones thing is tough. You have another guy I am leaning on in our 15-team league. It's just, the thing is, Billy Donovan has done a pretty good job of tightening up the rotation. Like, you're not seeing a lot of Dalen Terry.
Yeah.
Like Julian Phillips is getting his 6, 7, 10 minutes a game, whatever, doing literally nothing. I don't know. Him and Dalen Terry are the same person to me. But there's like 5 to 10 minutes available. So it's like, if he cuts those guys' minutes, Trey Jones is going to take a hit, but maybe not massive. He's a hold to me. Trey Jones would qualify as a soft hold.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what happens when Kobe White comes back. But yeah, definitely don't move on from him right now. And like you said, Phillips, Terry, even Javon Carter, he didn't play this weekend, but he had 25 minutes in the previous 2 games. So there's that was when Giddey was out. But like there's minutes that are free to give to Trey Jones when Kobe White is back in the starting lineup.
And I will the legend himself, Mr. Firenuts in the chat, asks, why would you keep Trey Jones, his value's going down, and Watson's value's going way up? They're trending opposite directions minutes-wise in theory, but Watson, I mean, we have a great on-off court tool on RotoWire.com. So you can see when Christian Braun is not on the court, who gets the biggest usage spike, who sees the most minutes. Almost nothing happens to Peyton Watson's usage when Christian Braun is off the court. Does not make a difference whether Brown's on or off the court. Now, Watson has seen the second most minutes on the team total with Braun off the court, but that still results in averages of essentially 9 points on some bad shooting. So let's give him 11 points. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and like 1.6 steals, 1.6 blocks, but this is per 36. Is Watson going to play 36 minutes when Cam Johnson's available? I don't think so. So to me, Watson's not even a must roster player. Like, I think if you're desperate for steals and blocks, like go ahead and do it if that's what you need. But otherwise, I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, he's played at least 16 minutes in every game already. He's played 20 plus minutes in 8 games already. So why were you not super excited about picking him up then? Like, I don't think his role is going to increase. But it's not going to increase. He's not a guy where he went from 15 minutes a game to now 35 minutes a game. He was a guy that was playing 18 minutes a game, and now he's going to play 26 minutes. I don't think Trey Jones is completely going to fall out of this rotation at all. He was a key part of why the Bulls had a strong start to the season. He's going to be in that rotation still. Ayo Dosunmu is another guy where he's not starting, he's not playing 30 plus minutes, but he's being a solid contributor. I just don't think the upside there is there with Watson. Like, when Derek Queen moves into the starting lineup, like there's a lot of unknowns there. How is he going to produce? He can pass the ball, he can score. Peyton Watson is going to get you defensive production, and he's going to make some back cut dunks. That's about all that you're going to get there. So I don't think it's like Peyton Watson to the moon by any means. It's just like, oh, Peyton Watson could be a serviceable streamer if you need steals or blocks.
I'm last in the stake league in blocks. I roster Peyton Watson for that reason. If I emergency need a stream, and I just lucked into this, but yeah. I'm not starting him this week. Yeah. So that's the kind of situation we're in. Okay, so let's
also 3 games for the Nuggets, 4 games for the Bulls this week, if you really want to go that deep.
Right. You roster Victor Wembanyama in that league. He and Stephon Castle are both dealing with they're banged up. Any level of concern from you on Castle and Wemby?
Castle, not so much. Hip injury, didn't play in the second half. They're playing the Kings, kind of just like a let De'Aaron Fox go and murder his old team. That'll be fun. And he didn't come back in the second half. We haven't really had a real update. The Wemby thing, a calf injury after all of these calf injuries turned into Achilles injury. I don't want to be that guy, but like that's concerning. If you are in the Spurs front office, that has to be something that you're aware of and you're concerned about. So obviously I think they're going to take the utmost precaution with that. And we'll just see where it goes. I know Mitch Johnson said it was kind of Wemby voiced, like, talked up about it. They didn't see anything. He was just like, hey, having a little soreness here. And then the team was like, all right, we're going to shut you down. So it seems precautionary at this point, but definitely something to monitor over the next couple of days, because that could be a huge storyline.
All right, before we jump into some listener questions, we have a word from Sling TV. Are you tired of paying for live TV you don't watch? With Sling, you can get all the live sports, news, and entertainment you want only when you want it. Get your hands on a Sling day, week, or weekend pass starting at just $4.99. Get over 30 of your favorite channels for the best price and stop overpaying for full-time live TV plans. Sling has a pass for any occasion. Big game tonight, grab a day pass for just $4.99. Want a full week of live TV for one low price? Get a 7-day week pass. And for all those weekend watchers out there, you can enjoy live sports, news, and entertainment from Friday morning to Sunday night with a weekend pass. Only Sling lets you watch when you want, so you only pay for what you watch. Get live TV for the day, week, or weekend. Your choice, all for a great price. Watch live TV on your terms, starting at just $4.99. Sling lets you do that. Use the link in the description of this video to sign up today. One question I do want to get to right off the bat, we got a John Morant question, because John Morant is going to miss, I believe it's 2 weeks with a calf. And so with Ja out, who do you think is the ad? Because I saw some Vince Williams talk on Twitter. I saw some, hey, Ty Jerome eventually is going to be back. What do we do with that? And again, I looked at the on-off court numbers on our website, and to me, it was like, well, I think it's just going to be a lot more of the guys who are already rostered. Maybe we get some like Javon Small, maybe some more Spencer. I don't know. Do you feel strongly about anyone?
Yes, Ty Jerome is a guy that I've been advocating people to hold on to. I think even when John Morant is healthy, the offensive wings with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jalen Wells was always going to need an upgrade. I think Memphis gave Ty Jerome a lot of money to be a key part of this rotation. I think going not to bring up Peyton Watson again, but like Ty Jerome is a guy that has way more upside than Peyton Watson. That like Ty Jerome is a guy that could, if he's starting and Ja's out, could be like a 25-5 guy. That was the type of, I know he fell apart in the playoffs for the Cavs, but he was a huge contributor for the Cavs throughout the regular season. Cavs had the best record in the Eastern Conference. I know you want to point to superstars like Mitchell and Evan Mobley, but Ty Jerome had an incredible season last year. I think Memphis is really banking on him to be a key part here. I'm not, again, like 25-5, that seems like that's like the high end of my projection, but he's the guy that could really make waves for your fantasy team and not just like be like a streamer. You could pick him up now and play him while Ty Jerome, well, hopefully pick him up now and he's available at the end of this week or next week, and then play him while Morant is out, and then possibly be a hold when Morant comes back, because there's just not much offensive firepower in this backcourt, even when Morant is healthy, because he's been so horrible around the from deep and hasn't really been super efficient around the rim either. So they need an offensive punch, and I really believe in Ty Jerome being that guy when he's healthy.
Just wish we had any update on Ty Jerome. Like, that's my main concern is, and this is not unusual because the Grizzlies do this.
Yeah.
Like, guys are out for soreness with a month, or they don't give you an update on anybody, and then all of a sudden they're just back.
Yep.
So I totally agree with you. Jerome's a great speculative ad. You may just have to take a hit in the short term. And that, even in the long term, like Memphis is terrible. We're talking about a lot of teams in this pot already. They're horrible. That may end up tanking. They might pull the plug. And then is Morant, what's going to happen with Morant? Is he going to sit? Blah, blah, blah. So if you're in a deeper league, like maybe Aldama's available for you, or shallower league, maybe Aldama. But like, I really like Cam Spencer. I think he's going to play a lot. Yeah. Vince Williams is a guy who can just put up like a bunch of box score stats. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay. Let's dive into some more questions. There's been a lot of Isaiah Collier discussion. And I was pretty on record as saying, like, I'm all in on Keontae George, and I think you should fade Collier because I think there's a maybe even a 50-50 chance that Walter Clayton Jr. is just straight up better than Isaiah Collier. But I was both right and wrong because Isaiah Collier has been playing a lot of minutes next to Keontae George and is putting up basically what optimists were hoping on Isaiah Collier, which is like 11 points, 7 assists. His steals should increase. The specific question from Dan is Dennis Schroder or Isaiah Collier rest of season. And Schroder is extremely confusing as well. Was starting usage completely decimated at one point, was taking like 3 shots a game. Now he's coming off the bench and putting up big usage again. So do you have a strong preference between either of these two guys?
Collier is going to be the guy for me. I really think that Collier and George can coexist. Just because Collier is more of a true point guard, where I think Keontae is, likes to get those shots up. And I was super high on Keontae rookie year. Last year, I completely gave up on him. But I just think that I think Collier and Keontae George can coexist. Dennis Schroder, I'm rostering him in our deep keeper league, just because I needed some production from somewhere else, and I'm happy with the production that I'm getting, but I'm not counting on anything in Sacramento to continue the way it is, like on a week-to-week basis. Schroder probably is, he had a good game last time out. Probably can roster him this week and start him this week, but I'm going to take Collier rest of the season. And then obviously, Utah isn't fantastic either, and they get into the tanking situation too. But I think it's way more likely that Collier is playing heavy minutes come February, March than it is Schroder.
Schroder, along with the rest of the veterans on the Kings, might get dumped to who even knows what team, a fringe contending team, and then he plays 18 minutes a game off the bench, and then he's completely irrelevant. So that would be my worry. So I'm with you on Collier. We got a question about, would you cut TJ McConnell or Kyshawn Wallace to activate Bilal Coulibaly?
I like Coulibaly, but I've gotten a lot of questions about Kyshawn Wallace. People, I think people like misunderstood that Kyshawn Wallace is starting, but that doesn't mean that he's like a starter. AJ Mitchell, Aaron Wiggins when he comes back. I would probably cut Kyshawn Wallace here. I think Kyshawn Wallace is a fine player, a really good player for the Thunder. Fantasy wise, he's just a threes and steals guy. And if you're expecting more, then you're not really going to get it. I think McConnell and Coulibaly have higher upsides.
I think I would drop. Well, between Kasich and McConnell's tough is actually. The thing about McConnell is I think you actually have a better chance if you hold him to sell high later.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there's a chance McConnell, because he's played more minutes each game, there's a chance he gets up to like 23, 24, has a bunch of good games, you can trade him. But I'm with you on Coulibaly. P-Dub wants to activate Benedict Mathurin. He wants to know, do I drop Zach Edey, DeAndre Ayton, or Jakob Poeltl to do so?
That's a really tough question. I feel like snap decision, it's Edey, but he started in his return. 25 minutes, looked really good, especially defensively. This is really tough for me. I like strictly gut. I'm gonna go Edey, but my personal preference would be cutting Ayton just because I it's hard to watch Ayton sometimes, but he's on a really good hot streak right now too. I think all three of those players are. How deep is this league? Probably gonna get picked up. Poeltl hasn't been great either. What do you say, Alex?
I gotta take trade Mathurin.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't cut anybody.
Yeah.
The thing is, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you have a good team if those are your guys that you're trying to trade or drop. But I would maybe see if you could trade any of those guys.
Yeah.
But I'd be a little, again, with the Pacers being as bad as they are, is Mathurin really going to be getting all those minutes down the stretch? You never know. But,
yeah, and Poeltl has been fantastic in the last two games. Yeah, so that's really tough. I like your trade, Mathurin. I feel like people would be really high on him, like, oh, there's so much usage to go around. So yeah, I think I like that move.
Would you be adding Gafford? Kenny is asking, but he already has 4 centers. I feel like no chance if you have 4 centers.
No. And Lively's, coming back. They're both probably going to be limited for some time too. Yeah, I don't think you need to.
Porzingis sort of rest of season outlook. What do you think? If you had him, would you be trying to deal him, or is it just really dependent?
Yeah, I would definitely be trying to deal him. I did not target Porzingis in any league this year. I like the Hawks a lot. But I don't think Porzingis is a consistent enough player for me to roster. Definitely one of those guys where I'm way more anti because I'm in weekly settings, right? If you are in daily settings, he has more value, but I'm staying away trying to trade Porzingis for sure.
He's playing really well. I mean, when he's healthy, and he's not even shooting that well. He's more assists and the blocks are good. The issue with trading away Porzingis is he has to be healthy for almost 2 weeks, probably, for you to even get anything approximating like fair value for him. To me, this is like a 2-for-1 kind of trade. Like when you have one guy who's kind of injury prone, maybe you can trade him away for like 2 top 80 guys and just make sure you get 2 starters in every week. Kind of depends, because there's going to be somebody who is like in second to last in your league that's like, I have to just get Porzingis. Like I need to take the upside. So, Admiral Nita asks, are Jordan Poole and Paul George buy lows or sell lows? I have them on my teams in 10-team head-to-head categories.
Yeah, I have already expressed my Paul George thoughts. I feel like I don't think he's going to save your team. So but I definitely think I wouldn't sell him at this point, right? Like he's coming back now. Like let him have one good game and then maybe try to trade him. But Jordan Poole, definitely we talked about Dejounte Murray and Jeremiah Fears. Jordan Poole is one of those guys where you are going to have to take the punches if you keep rostering him. So if you can get something in return, I would definitely do that. I would say don't sell Paul George now. Definitely try and sell Jordan Poole now.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you could get any guaranteed top 80 player for Jordan Poole, like to me, that's a snap yes. Paul George, I think if you could get me just like a quality top 60 guy, I would definitely think about it. Like if someone comes to you and is like, I'll trade you Zach Edey for Paul George, I would think about that. That kind of a guy.
I would say, yeah, I would say yes for sure.
Jaime Jaquez for Paul George.
I would rather have Jaime.
There we go. I've
gotten in a lot of trouble with my Paul George takes recently.
No, look, it's a tough decision. I don't know what to say. I usually those are like my problem for your problem trades. Like someone's got Siakam and they're like, I'm so scared about Siakam, and someone's like, I'll give you Paul George for him, and so who knows? Dennis is asking. He's got a 14-team league. He is losing. He's getting crushed because of injuries, essentially. And I've gotten these questions on Twitter before where people are like, can you take a look at my team and tell me what's the problem? And it's just like they had Anthony Edwards and they're also rostering Paul George. And it's just like guys are hurt, right? So he has Keontae George, VJ Edgecombe, Jaime Jaquez, Trae Young, Brandon Miller's been out. He has Kyrie. He's been dealing with like the ups and downs of Khalil Ware. Is there anybody on this list that he's provided that you would definitely drop?
No. I mean, Kyrie maybe. This seems like 14 teams. I feel like this is a really strong, good, deep team, but you're losing Trae and Brandon Miller, and that's a lot of points every week. And that's hard to overcome. I'm in a similar situation in one of our industry leagues. I took Sengun first overall, or not first overall, but with my first pick, and then went Trae and Brandon Miller, and that's just I've lost like every week by like a handful of points, and it's like, well, if I had one of my top 3 picks, so I feel like that's the situation here. We got positive news on Brandon Miller, Trae Young, and haven't really heard much yet. So you get Brandon Miller back, maybe you leverage this Kyrie news and you trade Kyrie and be like, hey, he's coming back soon. He's coming back. He's got to save the Mavericks season. And get you a little juice until Trae Young comes back. But I think the only reason why you're in a hole right now is because of those 3 guys, Trae, Miller, and Kyrie, and you can't really do much about that.
Maybe you can drop Khalil Ware when Bam comes back.
Yeah, but you can't drop him now, and we don't know when Bam's coming back, so that's tough. I would not drop Khalil Ware today for sure.
Sometimes you just got a bad luck fantasy team. So it's a long season, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
A very long season.
You get Miller and Trae Young back. That squad will be fine.
Mr. C says he's just had it with Donovan Clingan. Maddeningly inconsistent. Would you swap him for Ayton? Did I talk to you, Kirien, about the percentage of Donovan Clingan shots that are coming from 3? 40% of Donovan Clingan shots are 3-pointers. That has to stop. Like right now, that has to stop.
You told me that. You told me that last week, and that was the only thing I put in my note when I saw this question.
I think it was 30% last week. Now it's up. Like, are you kidding me? What is the point of this? But yes, he is really inconsistent. The issues with Clingan, I thought some of them would go away. Like he's just a big sort of immobile guy with borderline touch around the rim, who is also, he can get in foul trouble and he's not conditioned great. Like there are a lot of negatives to the Donovan Clingan experience. I just thought they were going to say, screw it, let's play him 30 minutes. Who cares? But no, I mean, Tiago Splitter is, we got Duop Reith, and sometimes Rob Williams is healthy, and we're trying to win games. And to their credit, they are 6-7. So would you trade him for DeAndre Ayton?
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I think if you this is one of those what you're talking about earlier. Like if you're in 4th or 5th place, this is way tougher. If you're in last place, yes, you do this immediately because Ayton is producing right now, and you need that production right now. And if you're in 1st place, you don't trade him because Clingan's like, well, maybe he comes around and he'll have a way higher upside when I'll actually need him, and I can hold him on my bench for a little bit. But if you're in 4th place, it's like, do I take the production now or do I count on it at the end? I think Ayton is definitely a better short-term option. And like you said, Portland is, I don't want to say good. I said I like Portland coming into the season, and I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but they're playing well even with all the Chauncey Billups news. I think that's, as long as they're competitive and Clingan is not, playing 30, and he's not like a huge reason why he's not going to get those extra minutes. He's not going to be allowed to play through those mistakes. So I'll go Ayton for the short term and Clingan maybe long term.
I think Portland's just a very legit 500 team. So yeah,
which is pretty good in the Western Conference, if we're being honest. Like,
oh yeah,
playing 500 ball in the West is not easy to do.
All right, some more words from our friends at Chalkboard before we get to more of listener questions. Cash in on your NBA picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 in a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with the Chalkboard Fantasy Sports app, now available in 30 plus states. Download Chalkboard today and use promo code ROTONBA, ROTONBA, to receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. Gotten some questions about Don Barlow, mainly like what is up with Don Barlow, because he started the first two games. First of all, Don Barlow is on a two-way contract. He is effectively a G League player who can be promoted to the NBA for a certain amount of games. Started the first two games of the year, missed 2 weeks with a laceration on his elbow, came off the bench in the 76ers last game, then started the second half over Trendon Watford. Now he was the most added player on Yahoo today, before the news of Paul George coming back tonight. We also, Kelly Oubre's got an LCL sprain or something.
Yep.
I guess the question is just like, what are you doing with Don Barlow? If you picked him up, are you freaking out? Are you holding? Is he actually worth an ad? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So, I mean, Paul George is back. What's going to happen with back-to-back sets? We don't know yet. Embiid could be sidelined indefinitely. He was practicing and they kind of shut him down. Kelly Oubre could be sidelined for a few games, and Adem Bonus sidelined. So Barlow, who plays the 4 and the 5, I think has, even with Paul George coming back, I think he's is going to have minutes, 20 plus minutes, over the next couple of weeks because of all of those other injuries. And you saw the upside that he has in those two starts. You know, he can rebound, he can score, he can do a little bit of playmaking, he can protect the rim. I think Barlow, he's kind of similar to Peyton Watson in my opinion, like for the next week or two. Like, injuries are going to allow him to play a little bit elevated role. He's really strong in defensively, and take the production while you can. He's not a guy that you're picking up right now and you're like, oh yes, I'm going to be starting this guy in the fantasy playoff. But he's a guy that you pick up right now and you're like, with Embiid out, with Bona out, with Oubre out, and maybe Paul George being restricted a little bit, Barlow is a guy that can give you quality production being a two-way guy. Like you said, he can only play in 50 NBA games unless he gets a standard contract, but they're probably going to play him 50 regular season games. So try and capitalize on that production now. Like I said early in the show, Barlow was one of the guys that I made a waiver claim on in our 15-team league. But I did it for free and I got someone else. So I'm rolling with them instead. But Barlow he's gonna be part of the rotation tonight, and he's gonna be a part of the rotation this week. So given his skill set, he's a player worth targeting.
Is Jordan Walsh worth an ad, or is this Josh Minot 2.0?
Yeah, Jordan Walsh is a defensive specialist in my opinion. If you are in a category league and you need steals and blocks, yes, Jordan Walsh is definitely an ad. But I don't think Jordan Walsh is a guy that's gonna, start averaging 20 points per game anytime soon. Jordan Walsh came up through the G League and he just had to guard Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and Derek White in practice every single day. And he's become a really, really elite defender because of that. And that's why he's going to get playing time, and that's why he should be on your fantasy team. But you shouldn't be expecting anything, not anything offensively, but you shouldn't expect him to be like a offensive juggernaut. He's a defensive juggernaut, and that's what his role is.
Yeah, I mean, even last year, his like defensive advanced numbers were crazy for a guy who saw as few minutes as he did. And, you can take what you want out of those when it's small sample and you're playing on a great team. But I think he is actually a legit, very good defender. But like you mentioned, I mean, he has one of the lowest free throw rates in the entire league, like does not get to the free throw line. I wonder what his career. Sorry for everyone. This is elite podcasting. How many free throws has Jordan Walsh shot in his career? 18.
Jordan, that's almost as many stocks as he's had in the last 6 games.
Right, exactly. So don't expect anything offensively, but yes, if you need the defensive stats, there you go. Ashton wants to know, he has Zach LaVine. He is wondering if he should trade Zach LaVine for Jakob Poeltl because LaVine and the Kings have been a mess.
So, I don't know about this. LaVine, I think you could, if you can make this trade, I would do it. Poeltl's playing better. We had a trade in the stake league, LaVine for Dyson Daniels. That was a one manager who really needed steals and went after Daniels. I think I would rather have Poeltl rest of the season. I know Poeltl started off slow, but I like the Raptors more than I like the Kings. And I think, center is probably a little bit more valuable position to have a stronger guy than a guy like LaVine. But that's tough.
I'm totally fine with that. To me, that's a categories trade.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about the Kings, then yeah, trade.
Yeah.
Because I'm not worried about the Raptors. I mean, the Raptors are fine. They're not elite. They're not bad. I mean, they're 8-5. So
yeah,
I think his role is secure. So yeah, go ahead and do that. No problem. Matt asks, who would you prefer to roster among Brandon Williams, Andre Drummond, and Derek Queen in a 9-cat head-to-head league?
I am gonna just go Queen here. Queen has so much upside. I'm really excited about what he can do. There's gonna be bumps and bruises, but there's gonna be bumps and bruises with Brandon Williams and Andre Drummond too, especially in category leagues with Drummond. Drummond's taking a lot of 3-pointers this year too.
Yeah, the corner three, he loves them.
He's making them. So, but there's gonna be one of those games where he goes 4 for 18 from the field or something ridiculous like that, and you're like, what? And his free throw percentage obviously too. And I like Brandon Williams. I think he has good upside too. But Queen, we're talking about like guys who can really make a difference and turn the needle. Derek Queen can be that guy for me. So I'm gonna go with Queen.
This is a really tough question. To me, this is, I feel like I'm fence walking, but like, what categories do you need?
Yeah.
And I do think it is probably between Brandon Williams and Derek Queen. I do kind of worry in the back of my head about like, well, what if Nick Nurse just decides he likes Adembona again?
Yeah.
So, and then it's like a minute split or whatever, or maybe Embiid stays healthy for 2 weeks. Who knows? But I mean, I love what I'm seeing out of Brandon Williams. We knew he was good last year.
Yeah.
So, I'm getting some Ace Bailey. Like, is Ace Bailey a hold questions? Like, yeah, he is. I mean, he fouled out in 10 minutes last night, which is crazy and should never happen, but it happened. But before that, he was playing really well. So to me, he's a total hold.
Yeah, total hold here for me. I know there was a report from ESPN over the weekend that said, Cooper Flagg was ranked like 6th in their rookie rankings poll, and Ace Bailey was really far down that too. So I think maybe that kind of got in the jet stream a little bit, and that's what people are picking up on. But yeah, Ace Bailey's definitely a hold for me. If you invested anything other than if you're in an 8-team league and you pick them up, yeah, you can drop him. But if you're in any sort of deeper league and you made an investment in him, you knew that there was going to be some games like last night that were going to happen. But yeah, he'll be fine. And when you roster a player like Ace Bailey, you got to take the lows with the highs. And when the highs come, you got to be expecting a low eventually. That's just the type of player he is. And he's really young. So that should be the expectation.
Yeah. Let's see here. Do you have any preference between Ryan Rollins and Peyton Pritchard rest of season?
Yeah, I would go Ryan Rollins. I'm not worried about the KPJ coming back and taking Rollins out. I think even if KPGA comes back and is like an offensive fulcrum, then Rollins could be the Dyson Daniels of last year and literally just be a top 75 player based on his steals alone. Pritchard looked way better as a 6th man than he does as a starter. That's about all I have. And he's one of those guys where we talked about this, like with Paul George, like when he has to do less, he can be more efficient. When you're asked to do a bunch, all of a sudden that efficiency goes away and the counting stats don't look as good because they're not coming with that efficiency.
I'm a little more torn on this. I think if you need the steals, you can hold Rollins or keep Rollins. But if you're looking for points, upside, maybe just take. I would maybe rather have Pritchard. But that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair. Tough question.
Like he's 54 points in the last 2 games from Pritchard. Like that's the high point of his season by far right now. And that came against Memphis and the Clippers, who are 2 teams that are firmly trending down, in my opinion. So yeah, like I don't know. I think Pritchard is a great offensive player. He's gonna have those games. But I just don't I don't like what I see. Boston's fine, but like Pritchard isn't as valuable as I thought he was gonna be as a starter.
We got a few more, and then we'll be out of here. Is this trade fair? Mikal Bridges for Derek Lively and Devin Vassell. I'm gonna just go ahead and say I would rather have Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
Because Lively, I don't think Lively's a must roster player. Like, I really like Derek Lively. Will he stay healthy and will he play the 24 minutes a game consistently that he needs to be like a real rosterable player? I don't know. And Devin Vassell has been fine, but he also, like, Bridges is legit adding stuff to his game. That's the difference for me. Is like Bridges, the assist thing I think is legit now. And
so for me, this really relies on what the Steph Castle update is. If Steph Castle's out, I would probably lean on the Vassell Lively side just because Vassell could see more playmaking opportunity. But Bridges is the Iron Man, and he had some struggles to start his New York career, but he's playing really well. So yeah, I think the answer to this question is yes, it's a fair trade. But I've talked about Devin before. He's Steph Castle, Victor, even Dylan Harper. Honestly, like I would rather have Dylan Harper in fantasy than Devin Vassell. That might be a stretch, especially because we don't know when Harper's coming back. But Vassell, he's kind of closer to the Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohans of the world than he is of the Steph Castles of the world. Is that too brutal of a take for him? I like Devin Vassell. I rostered him in a lot of leagues last year, but I just don't know how high of an upside he is, especially with all of this young talent.
I mean, he's just a role player.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a role player. That's fine. I think he still has some reputation from when he was scoring 20 a game on a terrible Spurs team.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, we see what happens to guys like Cam Johnson who score 20 a game for terrible teams and then go play for a good team where they cannot touch the basketball, actually.
Yeah. And not saying he's going to get ousted from the rotation or anything,
no,
but he's just, like you said, he's just a role player. He's going to get his 15, 4 and 2, and that's just not that great from a fantasy perspective.
Would you trade Kyshawn George and Kristaps Porzingis for Jalen Williams or AD?
I would trade him for Jalen Williams. Probably not AD though. The only Jalen Williams expert analysis that I can offer you guys is he tweeted a picture and said loading or something like that. So he's back, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, I think Jalen Williams is way closer to playing a real game than AD. And I think, I already talked about my KP concerns, and Kyshawn George has been solid, but Coulibaly comes back. Maybe they trade Middleton or McCollum. But I still think just Jalen Williams is that needle turner for you. So I would rather have Jalen Williams.
2 more questions. This is a trade. Which side of this deal would you rather have? Bam Adebayo and Amen Thompson, or Miles Bridges and Alex Sarr?
That's really tough. I think Miles Bridges and Alex Sarr. Is that I would have to look really close into the numbers, but Miles Bridges, stat stuffer. Who knows when LaMelo is going to miss time? Who knows when Brandon Miller is going to miss time? His numbers, tend to trend up in that situation. He's going to be a solid player anyways. And Sarr is really like the only guy in Washington that I'm like, you can roster him all season long. So that's really tough. I think I'm going Miles Bridges and Alex Sarr here. But that's only because I'm really hesitant about how long Bam's going to be out for.
The Bam injury aspect matters. I think this is a really fair deal.
Yeah.
I think I'm like gut feeling I would rather have Bam and Amen because I really feel like I have more confidence in those guys. But like,
yes.
I don't know why I do. Like, because I think what Miles Bridges is doing is like mostly real before Brandon Miller comes back, and eventually, like LaMelo is going to be there in theory more often. And but I think what Alex Sarr is doing is completely legit.
Yeah.
So he's been better than Bam. I don't know. Tough.
Yeah, I think like you said, you trust Bam and Thompson just because those guys are kind of like the mainstream, hot commodities. Whereas Alex Sarr, Alex Sarr got promoted a lot, mostly by you on Twitter this offseason.
Me only, actually. And, yeah.
But like Alex Sarr and Miles Bridges are kind of those guys that, the average NBA fan isn't like, well, they're a superstar in this league. But when you look at their fantasy numbers, they are superstar fantasy players. So I would lean that way.
Last question. To me, this is, I got a straight up answer for this, but I think it's worth talking about. Wants to know if you Dennis wants to know if you add Daniss Jenkins. Daniss, is it Daniss or is it Daniss?
I don't know. We'd have to ask Shannon.
Wow, it doesn't say. I'm gonna say Daniss for now. Or does he activate Ben Mathurin? To me, you just activate Ben Mathurin.
Yep. The Pistons, I don't know when the Pistons are going to come back. They might just keep riding this hot hand and let Cade and Sarr rest a little bit. But I would assume Cade and Sarr are back in action before too long, and Jenkins's value will go back to being pretty minor. And Mathurin is full steam ahead for injury plagued Pacers team. So it seems like a pretty simple answer there.
Yeah, I described him on Twitter as like he is a soft hold for deep leagues. Like if you added Jenkins in a 16-teamer, I don't think you just drop him right now because you're like, well, Cade and these guys are coming back. It's like, well, I mean, I feel like Jenkins is playing well enough. It's like maybe he just plays 20 minutes a game now. And if you're in a 16-teamer, like maybe he does enough for you. So standard leagues, he's going to be a drop, I think, almost immediately when those guys comes back. And then in a deep league, I think you just see what happens for like a game, maybe 2 games, but then you just move on if it's not happening.
Yeah, totally fine with that logic there. And Jenkins, wasn't just not part of the rotation at all before this stretch here. So that seems fair to me.
All right, that wraps it up for us here on the Monday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Personally, I will be back with you on Friday with Ken and Shannon to do the official waiver wire edition of the pod. When are you back on, Kirien?
I will be back on Wednesday with Mike. We're going to give you guys a bunch of, players to drop this season. Mike and I don't like to be super negative, but we've always been giving you ads. So we got to get a little negative on Wednesday. Only negative about the 76ers and Paul George and Joel Embiid on the Wednesday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. And then Thursday, I'll be doing another solo mailbag. So if you guys still have any questions, Mr. Firenuts, you want to come roast me on Thursday about my Peyton Watson takes, you can do that. Solo mailbag, and reach out to me on Twitter, Sprecher, like the Roopier RW, if you have any questions, and I'll answer them on Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for joining us, and you'll hear from us again soon.